Have you been thinking about cutting someone off? Like a friend who you used to feel close with, but now every interaction feels a little bit forced. You feel drained, you feel annoyed, and you're wondering, should I let this person go? If that's where you're at right now, this episode is for you. Now, on the surface, that sounds like the right question to ask, but from the spiritual perspective, it may not be the most helpful question to ask. And so we're going to explore the considerations that we want to make when it comes to cutting people out of our life. And at the end of this episode, I'm going to give you a stronger question to ask that will lead to more clarity, more growth, and even more peace around what you're going to do next. But first, I'm going to walk you through some real life examples, because the truth is, this stuff is pretty layered, and there's no easy one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to navigating certain friendships. So let me start with a personal story. Years ago, I had a friend who ended up sleeping with the woman who I had just broken up with. And because I wanted to see myself as this spiritual person, when he came to me and asked if it was okay if he dated her, I tried to take what I thought was the high road. And I told myself that, yeah, sure, it's fine. And I said, I'm not attached and everything's unfolding exactly as it should. And no one owns anyone else, all the spiritual stuff. But deep down, I really wasn't okay with that. And they ended up dating and it was a big drama. And it took me a while to realize the truth of the situation. And the truth is, I didn't want to seem like I wasn't spiritual. So I bypassed my own feelings. And the more I tried to ignore what I was feeling, the more resentment I started to build, not even towards him, but ultimately towards myself. The main issue wasn't really about what he did or what she did. It was really that I wasn't being honest with myself. I wasn't being real. In other words, I betrayed myself by pretending that I was okay with something that I absolutely was not okay with. And that taught me something that I have never forgotten. It taught me that pretending to be spiritual or to be at peace is not the same thing as actually being at peace. Now, here's the thing. We don't always give ourselves space to be honest like that, especially when it comes to friendships. As spiritual people, we can be so focused on holding space or trying to stay in a high vibration or protecting our peace that we forget how much strength there is simply in just being ourselves, in telling the truth, and not trying to perform, and not posturing, and just keeping it 100, right? And here's something else I've noticed. We're quick to write other people off for doing things that we ourselves have also done, or things that we might do. And we hold other people to these impossible standards. Meanwhile, we're giving ourselves unlimited grace because we understand the context of the situation. Oh, I was going through something. That's not who I really am. I had gone several days without sleeping that well and I wasn't thinking clearly. I didn't mean it that way. But we don't always extend that same understanding to our friends. And so the story about what our friend did is more binary. It's good or it's bad or it's messed up or it's inconsiderate. And yeah, some people do cross the line, right? Some friendships absolutely need more distance. But I think a lot of the time, we're not mad at people for being bad friends. We're more so frustrated with ourselves for not being more honest about the fact that we've changed or we've grown or we're just not interested in the same things we were interested in years ago. And that's where the discomfort is ultimately coming from. Not because they're terrible, but because we're evolving in a different direction. Yet we're still trying to fit an old version of that relationship into our life. And sometimes it's not the friend that doesn't deserve to be around you. It's actually the friend's behavior or the friend's words that's helping you come to these realizations. Which reminds me of this story I heard about this guy at an AA meeting. He was sharing to the group about the moment that completely changed his life because it led to his recovery. He had gone to buy drugs from some woman that he used to get high with. And instead of helping him, she set him up to get robbed. And they stole all of his money. And at the time, he was so angry and so furious. He felt betrayed. All he could think about was revenge. But then later on, one of the other guys in the program reminded him that if she hadn't betrayed him and set him up to be robbed and created this whole dramatic situation, you wouldn't be here right now. You wouldn't have hit your rock bottom and you wouldn't be on the path of recovery. And the guy sat there and he said, oh my God, you're right. And if I ever see that woman again, instead of getting revenge, I'm going to thank her. I'm going to thank her for getting me robbed so that I can then be in this situation where I'm getting myself together. And so in that way, he shifted his understanding of what happened from resentment to gratitude. And that's what it means to see and experience these kinds of things from a spiritual perspective. Hey, if you've been knocking your head against the wall when it comes to daily meditation, falling off the wagon, getting back on, not quite sure if what you're doing is working, don't worry, I got you. For a limited time, I'm giving away my signature 7-day meditation kickstart for free to you, my Spiritual Perspective listeners. Plus, you'll get a free 2-week all-access pass to my entire Happiness Insiders online curriculum of challenges and masterclasses, which will provide you with a crystal clear roadmap for mastering your inner work. You'll also get support directly from me and accountability and a place to ask questions, and you can join me live for a meditation on each of your 2 free weeks. So with zero cost to you, you can get a daily meditation practice that you'll actually enjoy and look forward to doing for the rest of your life. And you'll have me to personally support you and hold you accountable. And after your 7-day meditation kickstart ends, you can start the 108-day meditation challenge and get even more support. And you can take as many other inner work challenges and masterclasses as you can fit into those 2 weeks. We have an unheard of 80% completion rate for our challenges, which is over 20 times higher than your average online course. So if you've been feeling stuck and inconsistent when it comes to your inner work practices, you will not find a better solution anywhere online. Go to thehappinessinsiders.com and let's get your meditation practice up and running today. That's thehappinessinsiders.com, and you can tell that nagging daily stress to kiss your ass. I'll put a link below in the description. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to force yourself to be in a friendship that you no longer want to be in. It doesn't mean that you have to excuse bad behavior. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. But what it does invite us to do is to stay open to the overarching lesson, even if that lesson comes wrapped in the form of betrayal or discomfort or pain. Sometimes the person who hurts you the most is the same person who's helping you to grow the most and helping you to become the most self-realized. And while that doesn't mean that you have to keep them in your life, it does mean that you might want to pause before writing them off completely. Because if you can find the growth inside of the pain, if you can see the role that they played in your awakening, then you both can walk away more whole and more free. And so to that end, the question isn't, should I cut this person out of my life? The stronger question that we can ask ourselves is, where am I holding back who I really am in this friendship? Because the moment you stop holding back, the moment you become more authentic, the moment you start making more aligned decisions, that gives the other person an opportunity to either meet you in that space or to remove themselves from your life, which means you don't have to cut anybody off. They will cut themselves off. If you stay committed to being yourself, to making those aligned decisions, then the people who want to be there with you at that stage in your life are going to step up and continue to show up in those ways. And the people who don't feel aligned with those choices and with that version of you, they're going to naturally move away. Now, granted, they may circle back later at some point when they're ready for the new version of you, but you don't have to force anything. You don't have to chase or cut or label anyone. Your job is just to be yourself. And this is not an isolated, singular act. This really has to become a lifestyle. So you may find yourself on any given day making multiple choices to be yourself. And that sometimes means having the hard conversation. Sometimes it means not letting a behavior slide that is doing damage to you or to your reputation or to the people that you care about. That means maintaining healthy boundaries. I've said before, if you wait before you start maintaining healthy boundaries, then it's just going to look like defensiveness. But if you introduce your boundaries early on in the friendship, then it just looks like healthy boundaries. So there are many things that you can do, and you're not doing it for them necessarily. You're doing it to create a space for yourself to be able to grow and to thrive and to learn and to give and to live a life of purpose and service and all the wonderful things. And so just look at your friendships kind of like a garden that you're having to constantly go in and tend to and prune and make sure that everything is growing exactly in the way that you want it to grow. And that's the work. That's what we mean when we say inner work. Yeah, on one hand, you want to meditate and do your gratitude and journaling and therapy and all that. But the real work is the integration in the individual moments of your life, having those conversations, setting your boundaries, being yourself, etc. And that's how you sort of bring to life this spiritual perspective. You're not always going to get it right. You may overshoot the mark. That's fine. That's how you learn to operate more so within the gray area, which is where most of life ends up happening. Okay, so that's the spiritual perspective. If you want to go deeper, I've written several books on these topics: spirituality, happiness, fulfillment, personal growth, minimalism. And you can also book a one-on-one consultation with me. All the details are in the description below. If you like this episode and you want to see more from the spiritual perspective, here's an episode on how to deal with toxicity And here's an episode on why you should never take anything personal. All right. I'll see you in the next Spiritual Perspective episode.